In your Jackpot I-5 carryover to the nightcap here tonight. Once again, good evening. Welcome aboard. It's a big night here. Gabe Prewitt, and I am very pleased to be joined tonight by a couple of Hall of Famers. We've got John Berry, as always, and the man of the hour, Wally Hennessey. Welcome in.
All right, Gabe. Yeah. John asked me earlier today, can you come up for the show? I'm here with bells on.
Winning 4 races tonight. You can be here with the show. It's great. We're glad to have you. We've got a lot of questions that some of our nightly fans have sent in that they'd like to have answered, and JB's got plenty presented as well. But first of all, congratulations! What a milestone! That had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Like I got to be quite honest. The last couple of weeks, you started the countdown, and my face was on the thing, and I'm not much for that, and I'm sure the guys down there were sick of looking at me as well. So it's you don't really look forward to these things. It just happens. You get chances and you win, and it just adds up, And I've had a lot of chances and a lot of great chances as of late. Like a lot of favorites and a lot of horses that really have chances. I didn't think I could get it last night, but that's racing, right?
Yeah, we didn't either. We were
wrong. That happens quite a bit at this desk, by the way. But we were incorrect in our assessment.
I know. I listened to you.
We did not think that it could happen last night. But talk to us after that last race. It's approaching 11 p.m. It's the last race of the night. No other horses on the track warming up. When you turn and you're headed back, a quiet time there by yourself after the win before you got back for the ceremony. It had to be quite a time of reflection for you to know you knocked down that milestone.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me get my composure here. So what happened was, like, when we finished and when I kind of knew, like, the last 15, 20, 30 lengths that I was pretty safe, that I was winning. And it was a great feeling then. But, your adrenaline's still going. And the first thing I done after the race was, like, Dave Ingraham, Mike Simons, they were in the race with me, and I asked them if they could, I would appreciate if they'd come down to the winner's circle with me, which they did. They probably were going to come anyways, but I really, all the guys that came down, I was very appreciative. I haven't seen them yet tonight, but very appreciative of that. And I told them I'd take my time coming back, and as I did, I got times to reflect on my life in the harness business. And I looked up at Mom and Dad.
Yeah, that's a special moment, and I took note of that too. It seemed like you did circle back there, and I knew it had to be quite a personal moment for you there to reach that milestone, and to know you did. So you did so as we would expect here, full steam ahead. 8 wins of the last 2 programs, so you were still rolling right along. And JB, I know you had lots to mention as well.
Yeah, speaking of your dad, I saw a picture a couple of weeks ago, and you brought it tonight, of you back as a 10-year-old at the head of a horse, and with your dad driving. He must have been a huge influence on your life.
Oh, God. I mean, it was everything, right? You can see me there. That's me. 1967, right there. My dad won the race. Look at the old race bikes. No discs. You see no discs on the bike, on the wheels? And that's me. I'm the groom. So I'm not a mushroom, boys. I'm not a mushroom. So, and I want to shout out to, I know my family's watching. I told them I was going to be on, so I told Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island. We actually got a couple of questions from some of your fans up in PEI, and one of them, have you ever thought about returning? Maybe after you're done racing, or to race, or drive full time. You ever thought about going back?
Well, yeah. Right now, it's not in the plan, but that is the plan. But when I do go back, it won't be as a driver. No, it'll be. I'll still be involved with the horses, maybe train them, or maybe owning 1 or 2, just to keep my hand in it. But that is my plan. I'd like to be able to do this in the wintertime and there in the summertime.
Yeah, right.
You did some ice racing up there, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, not in Prince Edward, like my father did. When I was at the age I was right there, even younger, we raced on the North River, or not we, he and people, his fellas he raced against, on the North River Causeway. It'd freeze over. And that was, believe me, it was huge. There was, like, Prince Edward Island's total population is 140,000 people on the ice watching these horses go the quarter-mile dash. couple of thousand people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't you win one of them though?
So that I got invited to Ottawa to the Rideau Canal, and that was one of my first exposures outside of maritime racing in Atlantic Canada. I went to Ottawa, Rideau Canal, and it was unbelievable. It was during the Winterlude in Ottawa. It's a big weekend they have up there, and it's on the Rideau Canal. And the last thing that would happen would be the horse races down the ice. It was 5 dashes, and all the top drivers and everything there. And it was just. I would venture to say there's 30 to 40,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your ice wins don't count statistically. She may have more than 10,000.
You may have 20,000.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, I did all right because my father. Actually, that's crazy because my father raced on the ice, and before I went, he said to me, "I'm just going to tell you one thing: be the first to turn into the gate, because he said whenever you turn, the gate's going to move because it has to. The gate, the tires, the wheels had chains on them, for the gate to get out of the way, and." The other fellows couldn't get turned quick enough, and if the gate was already going, they couldn't. So I had a little bit of an advantage.
Thank you. Good advice.
Yeah, it was great advice.
I have one question to ask you, and that was actually before you really got into the business, and that was when you worked on the freighter for a few hours. Tell me a little bit about 4 hours.
I lasted 4 hours, and that's. I went to work it was supposed to be it was on dry dock, and it was going to be my first job. I was 18 or 19. My first job outside of harness racing, and it's my only job outside of harness racing that lasted 4 hours.
Wow, that actually was a question. Someone said, "What other occupations did you consider?" So I guess you took a few hours to consider another occupation.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get any benefits from that.
Yeah, well, a couple of other questions here we've got to sit in for you, Wally. One of our main men out there on Twitter, Jason Beam, he sends in, big fan, he says, by the way, of course, you've got many of those out there. But he says, does Wally ever send it in when he's not driving? Now, I don't know about sending it in, but you do at least go attend the races. Obviously, at Saratoga for part of the year. You're down here, so I know you at least have the thoroughbreds from time to time.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just not a gambler. But if I'm attending the thoroughbred races here at Gulfstream or up in Saratoga, they have the big meet up there, the 6-week meet. I'll send a few bucks in just for the excitement. It's not that I know anything because I don't know anything about the thoroughbreds. This I know a lot about, and I just do not. I've never gambled. It's almost like it just wouldn't work.
And he may have had the tweet of the night last night, by the way. He said, congratulations to Wally Hennessey, who picked up his 10,000th win. On a related note, it's his 9,000th win of the meet at Pompano. It's not quite that many, but it may seem like it. Another question, how important do you think the betting public is to the sport of harness racing?
Well, that's our whole game. The people that appreciate that. We don't have as much on-track handle anymore because people don't have to attend the races live anymore. But we still, here at Pompano, get quite a few people live. Not like the old days when they had to be here to bet. But to answer the question, they're our lifeline. The gamblers are our lifeline, and thank God for them.
Yeah, right. Of course, and we appreciate the sport. Big night last night, of course, big pools throughout. And now here's one that's going to be maybe tough for you, but it is a question to sit in. Very fair enough. Jeremy Day sends in. He says, "What is the most important win looking back over those 10,000? If one sticks out."
Yeah, it's like Ronnie Waples said one time, it'd be the next one.
Right.
Which is true. Because that's what keeps you going. The winning is addictive, and there's anything to do with moneymaker, of course. But I that's well known to anybody in the harness. But the first win was awesome. I don't think you can ever replace a first anything, right?
Sure.
So,
and what year was that?
Oh, that was, let me see.
75.
75, yeah.
75. I should have asked the wrong person.
1975. I was 18 because up in Atlantic Canada, you couldn't get your license then at 16. I was 18, and I was just getting ready to turn 19. I didn't have that many drives, and I hadn't won a race, and I wanted to win a race at 18. So I drove aggressive for the first time in my life, and I won. I said, that works.
Wow, and then here we are, 9,999 wins later. Now, many people ask the best horse, as you just alluded to, I would assume that would have to be the Great Moneymaker?
Oh, there's non-comparable to her. I didn't drive her every start, but I drove her about 80% of her races, and I drove the greatest there ever was. So.
And your good friend Jimmy Tactor sent out a congratulatory tweet today to you as well. I'm sure you've heard from him. But another good question posed by a few different people, in fact. Who's the toughest competitor you've ever driven against on the track?
Oh, there's no one, guys. Who am I to say, one or, yeah, come on, listen, you line up behind the gate, anybody can win. I mean, you're lined up, whether there's 9 horses or 10, you have to take everything into consideration, and anything can happen in a race. You do drive, like the guys that drive the most, like Bruce Ranger and I went head-to-head here for 30 years. Kevin Wallace, Mickey McNichol, all of Joe Pavia. Like, we were all around the same age, and Peter Wren, and every one of us got numerous wins. Dave Ingraham, you add up all them guys' wins, and like, you had to beat them all. I didn't have to beat one.
Sure, yeah, that's...
And you had to come with your game.
A lot of volume
them
in
guys
those names.
Guys could, I mean, even today, all these guys today, I can't go on and on about the people I'm competing against. Yeah. It's not easy, guys. I might be winning, but it's not easy.
Well, one thing that strikes me is that we talk about his success at Pompano Park, but you've won the Woodrow Wilson, the Hambletonian Oaks, the Nat Ray, the Elite Lop over in Salvana, the Kentucky Futurity, several Breeders' Crowns, and that just shows you that it just isn't contained at Pompano Park. Yeah. This is a worldwide success.
Well, I made Pompano my home in 1986, so making Pompano my home, that took me out of the ball game up north for 6-7 months. And I never really ventured, I kept doing my same routine. I did do the Grand Circuit for about 10 or 15 years. That's about it. And I did get a chance to drive a lot of great horses. And they're easier to drive than most.
Cam Best was one of them.
Oh, he was a gem. I mean, he could pace. I still think he's the fastest. For a piece, I think he's the fastest pacer I ever drove for a piece. You just kind of had to contain it.
And, of course, the richest race, maybe that might have been the Wilson with America's Pastime.
Yeah.
That was back in 1992.
Yeah, see, there you go,
Yeah.
It was, I think, around 800,000.
Okay, my next question is, you won 382 races last year. That's second to your 1995 total of 419. How have you stayed so competitive as the driving tactics have changed over the years, from stopwatches to just going?
Well, my statistics will show that basically I have close to the same amount of starts every year. It's kind of the same routine. The difference, guys, is in order to win, you got to have the power. And the last 2 to 3 years, I'm getting power. And if you get the power and you put them in the right positions, you're not going to win every time. But listen, John Campbell said it. I'd rather be on an 8-5 than race against an 8-5.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how special was it? I know you had several people wanting to be your 10,000th win. You won for your trainer, your friend John Hammett there. Yeah. He was one away. Had to be pretty special in the last race last night. Mickey McNichol, as you said, you've driven against him, a friend of yours for many, many years. That had to be pretty cool to win it with his horse.
Yeah, like Mickey. When I came here, before I came to drive, I used to come here for a week or 10 days vacation, and Mickey was the leading driver. He was the man here then. That was in the late 70s or early 80s, somewhere in there, and Mickey was the man. So when I first came down here, I got to tell you, my first year driving down here, I was so intimidated that I wouldn't even dress in the driver's room. I dressed over in the stable area, and because I thought it was the who's who of harness racing here, and I said I'm not worthy to be in that group. So to be sitting here now after all these years, and I've had a lot of friends that I've competed against, and it's hard, guys, when you're competing against people, and we're all trying to make a living at it. So
hopefully we've got you a locker back at the room by now as well.
I got 3 of them now.
Okay. Couple of more questions here from some of our bettors out there. November 16th in the 5th race, why didn't you go to the lead? No, I'm just joking. Yeah. That's not true. That's not true. But we do have a couple of other questions. What track would you like to drive at that you've never driven at?
Drove at most that I'd like to. I mean, I've drove at a lot of racetracks. I mean, I don't know which ones I've missed, really.
How'd you choose your colors?
Oh, that was I had no money when I started, and my brother Jody had trained for another guy on Prince Edward Island. His name was Mike McDonald, and he had given Jody a set of his colors to warm up and stuff, and there was an H on the sleeve. His name was McDonald, and there was an M in his sleeve. So when my brother Jody came home, he had his own colors. I didn't have any colors to start with. I took them and asked Mike if I could use them, and I liked them. They were checkers, and I wanted to change the design, and one day I threw them on the chair, and if you take a checker and turn it over, it's a diamond. And I looked and I said, there, diamond. So that's my colors.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hear you had a hole-in-one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that was great, JV.
Yeah.
That was
First career?
First career hole-in-one, so, and I had some witnesses, so it did happen.
You see, now that's why I bowled instead of played golf, because I very rarely ever lose a bowling ball.
Yeah. And you had some perfect games.
I did. I was lucky enough to be Illinois State champ back 50 years ago.
There you go, buddy.
There you go.
Bowler, that's quite an incredible feat as well. Wally, we appreciate you coming in. It's great to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on just an incredible milestone, and keep it rolling. We know you will.
You're my friends, guys.
Well, thank you.
I know you're on my team. So.
Great to be with you.
All right, best of luck out there tonight, guys. Horses on the track for the opener coming up shortly.
That's perfect, guys.